Welcome back, friends. This week I bring you another fantastic episode with the legendary Asaf Flumendorf. Many of you are familiar with Asaf, having seen him play at weddings and concerts. What many of you might not know is that Asaf's journey into the music world almost never happened, if not for one teacher that truly believed in it. Asaf has played alongside almost every leading Jewish musician and singer in countries and venues across the world and writes musical arrangements for many other events too. Besides for being an absolute master of his craft, Asaf is one of the nicest people that I've met, and sitting down together for this conversation was an absolute honor. Thank you, Maxim Cohen from the Jewish Lending Institute, for your support of this podcast. Enjoy this week's episode. Asaf, thank you so much for coming in today. Really appreciate you taking the time. I know you have late nights, so sitting down in the morning is a sacrifice on your part. I think this is my first time interviewing an Israeli, and
it's going to be interesting for you.
Not going to be the last, because I think there was 3 questions that you asked me when we were scheduling this. Number 1 was where, number 2 was when, number 3 was what food are we going to eat. So that's a good start.
Sounds like me.
It sounds like you. Asaf, tell us your entire story. Where did you grow up, and what was your journey like getting into the world of music?
I grew up in Haifa, Israel, which I still claim is one of the best cities in Israel. Maybe it's the best one.
Right, okay.
Definitely the most European one. I'm sure that we will talk about it later.
Sure.
I grew up in a religious home, not Haredi actually, Kippah Sruga, what you call it in Israel. My journey started just like other kids. I just had a keyboard player teacher that started actually quite late. I wasn't really connected to it. I liked it. I liked it very much. But kind of the whole thing with the reading music and everything, I was really not great with it at the beginning. And then just one day, the teacher kind of, I think, almost gave up on me. And then asked me like, can you maybe try to play something from your ears or something like that? And I said, well, I can try. And he asked me which band you liked. It used to be like an old band in Israel called Machina. And next time I just came to the lesson, and the guy couldn't believe I just played the whole entire album and just said, okay, so that's your path. But then basically that started really kind of playing serious music started a lot later in my life.
What sort of age?
So I played a little bit keyboard until maybe like 15, 16, but then I fell in love with the piano. And then when it's all started and I started to take it really, really seriously and everything. And, I went to Yeshivat Esder and I went also to the army. So that kind of cuts this journey. But from a very young age, I already knew that's what I'm going to do. Like when people ask me about school, I said, well, why do I need it? I'm going to be a musician.
Sure.
And I know it from a very, very early age. So for me, it was a real bracha. It's just the thought that, I don't have to worry about it. I know that that's what I'm going to do.
But then you went back into the formal route of studying music, didn't you?
100%, yeah.
So talk to me about that, because you almost left the world of music because you couldn't read, but then
So just at the beginning, because I think I was just kind of a child, it wasn't really interesting for me. But when I made a decision that I'm going to be a musician, then wow, I took it seriously. I practiced hours a day. We are going to talk about it. I think, when you asked me about the podcast at the beginning, I wasn't even sure that I want to do it. I just thought, it's not very interesting, but I actually have a message which is important to say, because I get a lot of kind of people who are calling me about if I can give them advice, people kind of at the beginning of the way. And for me, the most important thing to tell them, take it seriously. People say, he's so talented and everything. I said, yes, talent is very nice, but I actually believe in very, very hard work, which I worked very hard on. It still works very hard on it.
Yeah. It doesn't stop, does it? I mean, you're constantly refining and getting better and learning.
Sure. Yeah, I'm trying at least.
Sure. So where did that journey continue? So you went to the army, you went to yeshiva, went to the army?
So I went to yeshiva army. Then I took a crazy teacher, really crazy teacher that I owe him a lot. His name is Aryeh Weintraub. With him, I literally practice. All I did is practice. I practice 6, 8, sometimes 10 hours a day.
What were you practicing? Learning how to play the instrument? Or
the
theory behind it?
Piano, just piano, mastering the piano, classical music, arranging everything. And then kind of after the practice, I went to play in a wedding, just typically like a wedding in Israel. And after that, I came back home in a crazy time and I still practiced and played with people. So it was only about literally music. But it was only for a short while. It was maybe for 1 year and a few months before my mom told me, okay, so where are you going to study? My parents have like my mom especially is very academic.
Right.
And she's a doctor, like she has a PhD in the University of Haifa and everything. And she kind of told me like, okay, what about your studies? So I kind of was forced to go to study formally music.
Right.
And that's where my journey begins here out of Israel, basically. So I didn't want to go to America to study music. I studied in Israel in a couple of places I didn't really like. One of them was Rimon. It's like a jazz school in Israel. The other one was University of Bar Ilan, which I didn't like at all because it was more about talking about music rather than doing it, because it was musicology.
Bring me the piano.
Bring me the piano, exactly. And then I looked for places to study music outside of Israel, which is a crazy thing to do. I was already then 25 years old.
Wow.
And as I said, that's it. I'm going after my dream. And I thought about going to America, but I didn't want to leave Israel. It's going to be too far from Israel. I went to Amsterdam to study music. And I studied there, like in Rotterdam. I was together with the rabbi there, Rabbi Yehuda Forst. It's a very special individual. I think we were the only two Flum people in the whole place.
Wow.
To get bread, you had to go to Hague, which was Den Haag, which was like a couple of hours forth and back, just literally like that. It was quite a sacrifice. And then I moved to Amsterdam after 1 year, and I studied there. I finished my studies of piano and arranging, especially in jazz.
How long did that last for in Amsterdam?
So 4 years.
4 years.
Studied 4 years.
What was there that you couldn't get in Israel, or what were they offering you that you felt I can take my career to the next level? Like, that's the place for me to do this.
So I think probably America would be better.
Right.
But I just again, I didn't want to leave my parents it's going to be too far to travel, So I thought, let's be in a place kind of in the middle, somewhere in the middle. But what I like about this place in general, that I believe in a creative process, you can't have pressure. If you really want to grow, like I feel like in a relaxed way, in a mature way, you have to have relaxation. And what I find about Dutch people, they are very relaxed, a bit too relaxed for me sometimes. But kind of the study was, I remember when I came to the first lesson with my piano teacher, and he kind of told me like, okay, these are your exercises and everything, you have to practice on them. And I took it home, and he wanted me to practice something quite challenging in 12 different keys. I came, I really didn't sleep. Like I worked like crazy the whole week. I said, oh, it's really kind of stressful. Yeah. And I came and I didn't do it too well. Like I came to the lesson and I just said, wow, I'm so sorry. It's just like, it was too much. I did only half of it. And I'm sorry, it's just the beginning. I'm sure I will get better. And he just looked totally shocked and said, no, this is for the whole year. Calm down.
Yeah.
Then I said, oh.
Wow.
So it kind of was a little bit too relaxed, but it's kind of allowed me to create music, to really focus, so it was nice in that sense.
Amazing. So at that point, after 4 years, your intention was never to leave Israel long term. It was just,
right.
So what happened?
So what happened there? Basically, I got married after 3 years of my study. I met my wife in a Frankfurt shul, in a funny way.
Wow.
It's a different story, but basically I have a very good friend that used to be a teacher in Frankfurt. And we were both single people, so we were bored in Shabbat. Sometimes I came to Frankfurt, sometimes he came to me to Amsterdam and everything. And I met my wife in shul. And after 3 years of studies, I got married. And after my studied, that was kind of the London connection. Right. Somewhere in between, maybe after 3 years of my study, I started to come here to work quite often. And after my study, I thought, okay, let's go to Israel now. And we were in a process of almost buying in Ramat Beit Shemesh. Then the last moment, kind of my wife said, you know what, you are quite established already. You are working quite a bit here. And now you will just travel to Europe all the time. And I will just stay alone here. And she's not Israeli, she's European. Yeah. And we kind of thought, maybe we'll go for a few years to England and everything. Because Frankfurt and Amsterdam are not, they're different communities, sure. But we thought like to have something a bit more nice Jewish life. Yeah. So we moved here. And since then we are here, and We are happy, Baruch Hashem.
It's funny because we hear so much about people making aliyah constantly, especially I'm part of a community where people, every year there's people moving, and it's constantly a vision for so many people that when we're older, when we can retire, like Israel's the place to go. Whenever I hear from somebody who's like done the opposite, and there's a lot of people who every year leave for different reasons, but it's not uncommon for people to make Yeridah. It's a common thing.
It's true.
Yeah, interesting.
But I always say that I didn't leave Israel because I wasn't happy.
Right.
I actually was really happy in Israel. Like, it's not, I wasn't depressed. I thought like nothing works there. It was great.
Yeah.
But somehow kind of Hashem brought me here.
He guided you. I had a question to ask you later on, but it's relevant to what you said now, because I always think that in the UK, things are they're limited to a certain extent, especially when we see what goes on in America, and especially in the music scene. You see the size of the bands and the size of the choirs and the lighting, and there's just so much glamour around the creative space. Do you ever feel that being in the UK kind of limited what you could achieve, your talents? How has it put a roof over where you want to get to by that choice of not wanting to go too far from Israel?
Yes and no. It's quite interesting. I have kind of interesting thoughts about America, because the music that I'm coming from jazz. I love classical music. I find like in America, obviously it's an amazing place, and the crazy talents and everything. It's very interesting, but it's a lot about just a business, really. I feel that here you have a lot of opportunities. You don't have an opportunity to do like normally, like really, really the big stuff. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the big stuff, if you think about it, in America is just like that it looks amazing. It's a very, very kind of culture of, wow, everything has to be really, really big and impressive. It's a little bit of faff sometimes around it. That's what I feel.
You're seeing behind the smoke and mirrors. You're looking at the quality, the output, the arrangements, the layers, and saying to yourself,
exactly,
what's of substance behind? There might be 30 violins, but how creative is the pianist? How creative are the arrangements? That's so interesting.
And sometimes I feel like on events, which I love very much. That's what I do most of the time. I find in events that it's many, many times it's not about actually being so creative. Is about kind of make it work, like make it, for example, if you're in a creative process and you are writing for strings and you are writing for like orchestra, you make decisions that make it sounds big and full and impressive. It's not always the most artistic kind of decisions. Sometimes I would look at this in a different way, but you kind of press a button, okay, that works. And that's kind of, it's a challenge as well, and it's important to know how to do it. But it's not always the most creative process, I find.
Interesting. I want to know where the energy comes from. For so many people, they go to work every day, and it's kind of, they've got to do what they've got to do. They go to an office, or if they're a tradesman, whatever it is. But with music, I've seen you at weddings, I've seen your band, your orchestra at weddings, and there's like a sub-universe going on the stage there. It's not just a waiter coming to serve food and the hall manager coming to make sure everything's ticking over. There's something going on the stage in and of itself.
For sure.
Certain energy that's running, and you got the electric guitarist doing his solo, and they're living and breathing their job.
Yeah.
What fuels that? What's that? And you're doing that on a regular basis. It's not just once a month or once every 2 months. This can be consistently, and you've got to show up with a smile and to bring a tremendous amount of energy into a hall. Talk to me about what goes into that. Okay,
so it's quite interesting. Number one, I generally would love to take credit for that, but I can't, because I feel that Baruch Hashem, it really comes very naturally. People ask me, how do you have the koach? The answer, I don't know. It's just there, because I'm enjoying it so much. I really love it. I think, first of all, really, really something that I almost never compromise about, it's like that I will have the right condition to do it. So, for example, things like bad sound, that we can't hear ourselves, this kind of really bring me down. If you would see me unhappy on stage, which I'm trying not to show it, that will be the case. That
your earphone's not working.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, exactly. You can't communicate. You can't hear it. You can't. I think that's kind of when you just the power of music. Really, it sounds a bit cheesy, but really the power of music. We're just playing together. We are enjoying it. It's a very, very joyful process. Like you are playing with people that you are connecting with them on stage, like great musicians and everything that I like a lot. And when it's happening and it sounds good and it's great. Number one. Number two. I think in a wedding, and I really, really do feel this responsibility. When I'm coming to an event, I said, well, it's your job. Very often you do it every single night, but for the Chatan Kala, I can see the excitement of them. I said, wow, it can't just be another night. You just can't. If you are doing it, and just like someone told me a sentence a few years ago, said, no one is paying you to look miserable on stage. They want you to make atmosphere. And I can say that when I feel that obviously I'm human, and when I feel that I didn't do such a good job, it's really funny. It comes with the band as well. It's mamash Tisha B'Av. We are mamash not happy about it. I find it hard. Even the singers that I'm working with, they take it really hard, and we are discussing it. What happened? And then we blame. It could be the sound and everything. One thing I'm trying not to do, which is the easier thing to do. The crowd wasn't good. It's the easiest place to go.
That can happen.
It can happen. Absolutely. But I don't believe to throw the responsibility. I always believe that if I would do something else, it will be maybe more suitable for this crowd. Obviously, you can't make every crowd be like the most energetic, the most amazing, but you could do the right thing. That events can be very different. One event can feel crazy and a lot of energy and jumping and young energy, and it's amazing. The other one, which is also great, which is a bit more refined, relaxed, so it can be very, very enjoyable when you are playing the right music with the right volume. Another thing that is very hard to get.
Yes.
And you have the feeling that you made the evening, and it's really kind of gives you a huge satisfaction, especially to see people in happy days. And so, I think that's kind of my motivation to...
Incredible. Never realized how much you actually hold yourself accountable afterwards if something wasn't up to speed. That's
absolutely,
really fascinating. And you mentioned the volume. It's funny because I was once at a wedding a number of years ago. You weren't playing. It was a different band. But the father of the Khatan, the father of the Chosan, he spent, I think, the entire wedding standing by the band.
Wow.
And saying, please turn the volume down. Literally, the entire thing. And I just felt bad for him. Like, why? This is your opportunity. But what is it? Is there a lot of friction between people who are making the events and the band want a certain energy that comes with the volume? What is going on over there?
So, number one, this is a statement. I really, please quote me on this, but now it's recorded, so you don't have to. I'm always, I don't have any agenda to play loud music. I don't believe that you have to have crazy loud music in order to create an atmosphere. There is a certain volume that you need for dancing 100%. And I will tell you a funny story about it soon. But basically, I'm not coming with an agenda that it must be deafening. It's not the idea. Normally, there are not a lot of frictions, Baruch Hashem, but kind of, I just listen to people. If I'm playing a set and people tell me like, Baruch Hashem, happens less and less. It does happen sometimes. People say, well, a lot of people stood outside. It was really uncomfortable. I understand there is a problem. But even yesterday was a great wedding, and one quiet old lady came, and I saw that she's not enjoying it. And I'm trying, obviously, to tell my engineer, you know what, maybe on the lady side, which is normally a right thing to do, go a bit easier there. But I understand, I see that it's all happening and it's great, and no one's complaining. One grandmother is complaining. Obviously, you try to accommodate, but you can't affect the whole wedding.
Sure.
You have a mitzvah, you have chatan kala, you have to make it happen. So I think it's to find the right medium. Less and less I have a problem with it, Baruch Hashem, and it's also because of equipment. Yes, it's literally because of having the right equipment, the right engineer, and someone that is sensitive enough. But the idea is always listen to people, just see, are they happy? I'm always in a check, even with the music that I do. Do I do the right thing? Am I playing the right music? People in general happy? Do I see like bored faces, or people are literally generally happy? And kind of that gives me the koach, gives me a lot of energy back.
I'm one of those guys that just like stands by the band, just watching
I
the
saw
entire
you.
wedding.
I saw you a few times.
I love it. I just love watching all that come together. There's so much that comes together, especially like more recently. There's screens, there's lighting, there's smoke. Like, what goes into the journey when a client calls into your office and says, Asaf, wedding in 3 months' time, we're booking you in. What does that journey look like from your back end? There's so many moving parts. You've got to pull together the band. You've got to create the sets, the arrangements. Talk me through the process of what it looks like for a client.
So, in general, I think every client is very different. The process is very different. I think it has to be with how involved people would like to be at the event. A lot of people tell me like, just go for it. We trust you, which is fine. It's not that I don't like it. I do like it, but it kind of, you don't know what you're going to. You're not sure what's going to happen, right? It could be that, he kind of didn't really understand his crowd and everything. So I'm trying to squeeze some information at a different level. Some people are very, very into the music. So for them, the process is a little bit about arranging, having the right set. We are very aware, saying we, it's like me and the singers that I'm working with, that because England is not massive, it's not a massive Jewish community. It's not like America that you can have 50 types of crowd. In general, when you have a situation, when you have people you're just trying to be different a little bit every time. You can't do the same thing all the time. Of course, there are things that are repeating and works and everything, but you kind of have to think all the time. Let's be creative. Let's be interesting, innovating. Let's do something a little bit different. So basically, I think in general, the process, I'm booking my people. I'm looking into what client wants, and I start to build a good set together with the singers, and then we are working on the arrangement. But there is a lot of work going into it. Yeah. When I'm charging something, I'm always laughing because obviously I'm charging more than my musicians. But when I think about the amount of hours and everything that I put into it, I charge 10 times less than them. Really, I do.
Yeah, but it's amazing because when that big night happens and everything comes together, like sometimes you can just get overwhelmed looking at a stage set ready for a wedding. And I deal in tech. I deal with softwares. I do editing. I do videography. And if I'm under pressure, I'm on a job and something goes wrong and I can't figure out what's causing the issue. And sometimes it's just like a wire or a card or something silly. But when you're locked into a zone, it's very hard to think freely and to find the issues and find solutions. What's it like for you being on stage there, sometimes with a very big orchestra and hundreds of wires and screens and there's so much going on? How do you maintain that presence of mind to make sure that if something does crop up, like I can deal with this and we'll just get past it? Because ultimately people are looking at you for that stability, for that security. You're the band leader. So what does that look like?
I think like there are two things here. Number one, surround yourself with people who are professionals. So for example, if you take people who are really strong in tech, so let's say my sound engineer is really, really very strong in terms of technicality and everything. And it's also quite musical. So you kind of take away the pressure of when things are going wrong. So when you are dealing with professional companies, obviously you probably won't run into problems like, the cable is off. Like obviously it can happen. Yeah. But if they are professionals, it will happen less and less and less because they make sure to buy always good equipment and everything. And number two, you just know that if there is a problem, they will probably be very, very quick of kind of solving this problem. So that's number one. But number two is also, and I think it's very important to just gain knowledge, more and more knowledge, because when you are becoming more experienced, knowledgeable about all the subjects, you kind of, everything is falling into pieces. It's intuitive. Exactly. It's like kind of, it's like a puzzle, okay. The horn section, saxophone, trumpet, they will do that. So you know what to tell them already. But that comes with time. So you kind of have the control in front of you and you kind of know more and more what to do. So I think it's a little bit about experience as well. So when you have,
Do you ever get nervous before big events?
Only when I feel that I could prepare myself better. Mm-hmm. And that happens when you have, because you can't decide like how many events you're going to have on this week and everything. So it's funny. It's really, really interesting on the jobs. If you have, for example, you can have like a month that I'm working every single night and I'm quite relaxed because they're quite standard weddings, if you can say. Like obviously there is always things to prepare, but it's okay. Could be a month, I don't know, with only 8 weddings. It's very challenging because each one of them is like really like a whole new concept and concert. These are challenging. And when it happens, I can't say that I'm nervous, but I'm trying to put myself together really to execute it in a good way, that it's all falling together in a good way.
Amazing.
So
when you're pulling together your team or your musicians, you're not just looking for somebody who's a skilled musician, because like you're saying, there's an energy that runs between all the different departments. What are you looking for in a musician when you're interviewing somebody or you're researching somebody? Obviously there's the skill set, but there's a lot more there, isn't there?
100%. So first of all, that's only the way that I operate. Like a lot of people operate in a different way. For me, kind of reading music, you remember what I said, actually I was struggling with it.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing for me nowadays, because I'm writing for every event. Imagine sometimes there are, 50 new songs. If someone doesn't read it like a book, like you are reading a book, he's not for me. I can't do anything with him, because the problem is, you are coming to an event. Sometimes you don't even have the chance to play them once before the wedding. And it has to be convincing, like you are playing it every night. So you have to have the people who are able to do it. So it's find a combination of people who are crazy professional, but also with good energy. Very hard. Very, very hard.
So that makes a world of difference when you're looking at that band and you can see how they're interacting with each other and with the crowd very often.
Right.
It's not just the music anymore. They are setting the stage for everything that happens that evening.
Yeah, it's true. And some other people operate in a different way. People that they are counting more on people who just know everything. They know their repertoire and everything. And there was obviously a certain advantage for this, because they are playing very freely and they kind of know it all. And even the way that they are playing it kind of shows, okay, they know it. It's like someone who is leaning that that it's in his pocket, or someone that every second word is, But I just find it quite limiting way of working, because you can't do then new repertoire, everything becoming a big deal. You have to send the music before to everyone. Just like in my world is a bit, it's hard. So one of my most important skills, in my opinion, is the ability to write the arrangements. And people ask me, they give me songs, could you do 10 songs? I said, yes, because all I need to know on the event is actually to read them. So if I can write them, I can read them, and then everybody else. When you have a singer, it has to learn songs for chuppah and everything, it's different for him, because if he doesn't own the song, he doesn't read it,
Can't express
he can't do it. He just doesn't know it well enough. So it's very different with us.
Amazing. Out of all those different sets that you're arranging, and do you write often? Are you writing every week, every month? How often are you refreshing your library of?
I'm really writing on a daily basis. Seriously.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to, because there is just too much repertoire.
Yeah. There's constant new music coming out, so your band has to be kept up to speed with all the new stuff.
It's not only that. It's not only for my band. I'm writing to a lot of other people and do a lot. Yeah. So
see, I didn't know that. I've learned something new today. So you write as a standalone service for other bands. They can approach you.
No. Okay. So let me explain. I'm working. I have kind of funny enough, I have a 9 to 5.
Okay. Good.
I'm working for a company called Musica.
Right.
Which is amazing company. I'm not the owner. I'm the musical director of the company. And basically, it's they are doing a lot of different events, from, not from, a lot of non-Jewish. And my job there is actually to being more behind the scene. Obviously, if there is kind of a Froome event, so I'm the guy who is playing keyboard as well.
Right.
So kind of you could see me in a different brands.
Right.
One of the main singers there is the wonderful Avi Kraus. I'm sure that...
One of my favorite.
Yeah, so we are working.
Both Stanford boys, so that helps. But
exactly. You speak Yiddish as well?
I speak, of course.
Of course.
English, yeah.
Don't try it with me.
Avi is he's so talented.
Avi's crazy talent, yeah.
I don't think there's anyone that I know, at least in the UK, that can express music so artistically. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but
everybody has his strong point. I'm massive fan of Avi, and what he does is a crazy talent, so musical. But everybody has. I love our singers here in the UK. I think actually we are very lucky. We have fantastic people around. Each one of them I like in a different way. I really do. It's not something that I'm saying because it's recorded. Yeah. I really every client that calls me asks me, who should I take? And then I just asking, okay, first of all, number one, who do you like? And number two, tell me about your event. Yeah. Then I can kind of advise.
You want to match the right person, obviously.
Exactly. So, yeah. Amazing. So I'm working for them. So for them, you could have, 5 events in a week sometimes. And it's all about producing and writing to mix it together with the other job, which is my band as well. Wow. Doesn't leave a lot of time, I can tell you that.
That's for Jeremy Horowitz?
Yeah, that's for Jeremy Horowitz.
Was that part of you coming to the UK at all?
Absolutely.
So go on,
yeah.
tell me a bit about that.
So basically, my whole journey in the UK, we started with it, but there was a lot to cover. It started because Jeremy is very close with a singer from Israel. His name is Udi Ullman.
Right.
For those of us that are above probably 40.
Yeah, I've not seen an album from him probably in 20 years. Maybe probably it's less
15, than 20 years.
Yeah,
maybe that's kind of the
red cover. He had an album with a red cover.
Can't remember.
Nafalti Kamti.
Nafalti Kamti, right.
That's
it's a great album.
That's the last I remember of him.
Right. So basically, Jeremy is very close with Udi. And Udi used to come that time like a lot to the UK, which is, by the way, another amazing singer and a human being as well. Good friend. They kind of were looking for a band that can support Udi here in the UK. And they looked around. Right. They didn't 100% find what they wanted. And then Udi just mentioned, I'm from Haifa. And there was this guy that used to live with me in Haifa. Like, it was, his name is Asaf Flumendorf. And he's studying in Holland music. So maybe him. I heard that he has a band and everything. And that's... It came in time. I don't know if you I'm not sure you remember it, but EasyJet used to be so cheap to fly from Amsterdam and together with the euros and the pounds, used to be the pounds and euro, it was 2 to 1 or something like that.
Yeah.
So together with all of this and my fees as a student, it was actually cheaper to bring the whole band from Amsterdam than to use local musicians, local bands. And it kind of, we came every week. Literally, we came every week to work with Udi, and it was great. And that's how I met Jeremy. And since then, everything is just like the guy is a very big part of my life.
How many years now you've been collaborating? This is going back.
This is from 2015
years. Wow.
3, I believe, or 2002.
Right. Wow, so over 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. So he's a very big part of my life. He's amazing producer, person, and boss as well, in a way.
Incredible. So out of all those different arrangements that you're writing for, you mentioned jazz, you studied specifically jazz out of all the different genres.
Yeah.
So
that's my love.
That's when you come
Let's
to life.
Talk about,
you come to life.
Yeah,
let's talk about jazz. What is jazz music?
Jazz, if you just want to put a title on it, is kind of the art of improvisation. There are elements about jazz that obviously has to do a lot with the language. So you have to be able to speak the language of jazz. But jazz has many styles. It has swing, you have early jazz, people like Louis Armstrong, Benny Goodman, a lot of people will know, Duke Ellington. And it comes to kind of bebop, which is a bit more modern jazz, which is Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie. So that's etc. and goes more and more. This is, I am a jazz freak. Right. I just love jazz.
Because you can improvise, you're able to shine a lot more through that? Or it's...
Okay, so let's be honest. Yes, number one, I used to play better jazz when I was into it 100% and didn't do other type of music. So it's was really that was my interest. I was dreaming about it. I was listening to it. I was going to concert. I really, really love jazz until today. Playing it, yes, I'm playing it in kind of careful way in events because I know that it can be very intense for people who are not into it. So I'm kind of careful. I would love to do it more as kind of a hobby, which at the moment I don't have time to.
It's funny because a friend of mine, I think I came across your music initially. I was probably in Yeshiva in Gateshead maybe 15 years ago. And I remember having this conversation. I remember who it was with. It was a friend of mine in Gold's Green. I don't know if he wants me to mention his name, so I'm not going to. And I remember where I was when we had this conversation. And we were standing next to the hi-fi. We used to have these massive boom boxes in the dormitories, and we would sit there like a Rashi Tosfos discussing, every layer, every arrangement, and we'd discuss it. And we got discussing Asaf. Asaf was the new name in town, and it was a big hype amongst the boys. And especially if you would ever come to Gateshead, it was we'd all go crowding to come and see. And he told me something which at the time I didn't appreciate. He told me, when Asaf is on stage by himself, if he's just doing a small gig or a chuppah or something, you don't really get to see the full extent of his talent. But when you put him on stage with a big band, and then he really shines. And I pushed back at the time and I said, what do you mean? If somebody's on stage with 25 people, then his skills are going to get lost amongst the crowd. And if he's there by himself, he's going to shine. Now I fully appreciate it when you're on stage and everything that's happening there is due to your writing, to your arrangement, to your vision, to what you can be produced. You're bringing a whole team along with you for that journey.
Yeah, all the genre of kind of one-man band and everything, it's great. People that are very, very talented in this country, and obviously people like Meine Halperin, who's amazing, and Benny Brunstoffer, all great people. It's just totally not my thing. Was never my thing. So your friend was really, really right about it.
I didn't appreciate it, but now it's just.
I think it's a lot about interaction with people, and kind of the beats and everything. It's impressive what you can do nowadays with those, but it's was never kind of interesting for me to play by myself and create it all by myself. I find it a bit sad, and it's all about kind of the energy that goes around the people, and when it comes together and all the pieces, all the right piece of music like falling together.
It's authentic. You've created something completely.
So I'm totally with it. Yeah,
amazing,
100%.
Amazing. I want to know more about the studying, because the idea of this podcast in general is I want to interview professionals, very high quality professionals in their space. But I think there's things to learn for any business owner, who from anyone in any industry. You've been through a journey, you've been through a process, and there's things that we can learn from this. You went back into the professional route of studying music theory. What sets you apart from somebody who's just got an inbuilt talent, because in every space, and especially in the creative space like I'm in, there's people who can just wing it. They're good at something, they pick up a software and they can do it. And then there's people who have gone back to basics and they've really learned from the ground up. In your space specifically, how does it play itself out? A musician who's gone through the gritting work of really learning the backbones to music theory versus somebody who just knows how to play.
I think you touched the most important thing for me, that just go back to the basics all the time, expand your knowledge, because that is what sets you out apart. I mean, as I said before, if you're kind of having musicians around you that just kind of know the material, and you kind of, you're counting on them to know and everything, you will be very limited. I'll just give you a few examples for it. Number one, like you have a singer, right? If you are kind of, you can play in few keys, different keys, and someone is coming and is going half step up or something like that, you can't play with him. A lot of kind of keyboard players, they think, okay, I have the transpose button, so I will just touch this button and then I will find. For me, I cringe when it happens. Like I see in weddings sometimes, very good keyboard players, they just master how to play in few keys. But then sometimes it takes them half of a song just to find the right keys, because the chisel, and this is very painful.
Octaves are killer.
Yeah. So my teacher was very grateful for him. Actually, when I just started, he showed me the keyboards and said, okay, you see this button, his job is actually to play in different keys. Very nice. It doesn't exist for you. You just can't touch it ever.
Wow.
And everything that I practice, it kind of forced me to practice in not 12 keys, but loads of other keys. And when I was in university, I actually was encouraged to play in all 12 keys and improvise with them. And for me, I think it's one of the most important skills. So it just shows you that if you don't master it properly, you can't do things in a professional way. Yeah. Baruch Hashem, I have the privilege, and Baruch Hashem, Siyata Dishmaya, to work with a lot of international singers, like pretty much all of them. Yeah. From Shulam Lemer, Avram Fried, MBD, like really all of them. Benny Friedman, like Baruch Hashem. And it's because I can read, it's because I can write, it's because I can accompany in every key, because they can trust me. And really, really could be, and not even could be, I can tell you for sure, I see people that I see them and I said, wow, they are more talented than me. 100% I can sign, wow, they have something about them. Crazy talent. I know that those singers chose me because I can deliver the job. With them, they can play amazing, they can be so musical, but they will be limited. It's just an example. When you are professional, you will just grow.
Such an important lesson, that the foundation there, you're able, once you've nailed that foundation, you can just go anywhere now. Any singer can jump into a song and jump a key, and you're there with him in real time.
Yeah. It's really like that, and hopefully it will be very quick before I will be with him millisecond.
That's amazing. It's such a powerful lesson, because again, I'm in business, and I know people are in business listening to this, and like you're saying, it's a generic rule which applies to anything really. That if you built yourself up properly, then you can adapt. You mentioned you're a list of very illustrious singers that you've been with. Singers to me are always people who I've only ever known through a video or through stage. Growing up, we used to watch all the Haas concerts, and these people are like, it's hard to imagine what they're like in real life as people. And I remember once I was in Yerushalayim, I was in Ganegula, Friday night davening, and it was a minute before Mincha started on Erev Shabbos, and MBD walked in. And I kind of froze. I was like, got this shock. And I said to my friend next to me, I knocked him, I said, look, who's there? MBD's just walked in. And he looked at me as if I was crazy. Like, what's the big deal? What are you so excited about? But for 25 years or something, he's somebody who you've only ever seen on a stage. And then suddenly he's like a table away from you. What are these people like in real life?
It's very interesting because of Musica, actually. I produced some music that they played with a lot of kind of very big names in the non-Jewish world in a funny way. You see a massive difference. We are very, very lucky. There, like, if you see like artists, like massive, very big artists, you see all the nonsense. You don't even talk to these people. They are, you are nothing for them, and it's all the cover that goes into it. Here, you have people who are dealing actually with the Torah people, the Torahic people. It's like makes all the difference in the world. I remember, just to give you a few examples, I don't think they are normal people. I think they're amazing people. I think that actually a lot of them, each one of them teaching you a lesson. The first time that I played with Avram Fried was many, many years back in Holland. I was still a student. And I can tell you that it was the beginning of my journey. And we weren't very good. We really weren't very good. And I remember his midos, the way that he came, the way that he kind of talked, the approach. He just did a small sound check, played with a few songs. He said, fantastic, it will be great. Although I know that he wasn't.
Looking back, yeah.
And what he went then, we had like 3 hours to wait. He just went to his room, very humble, very modest. And he just like ate whatever, a sandwich, and just learned the whole time. He just learned. And I thought, wow, this is our stars. That's the way that they behave. I think they are really, I believe that people who manage to touch other people, like just to bring a message and to touch our hearts and everything, they must have something special, because if they don't, they're kind of falling. I think they sing what they believe in, and it comes across. MBD, amazing individual. I know him less. I worked less with him. I worked many times with him, but less than Avram Fried. Avram Fried have more connection. People like Shulom Lemmer, Benny Friedman, they are amazing people. First time that I met Benny Friedman, it was on Shabbos. We played in Germany sometimes, a few years ago. And I came to him on Friday night and introduced myself in shul. I said, hi, I'm Asaf, and he just smiles in a nice way. And I see he's not very talkative. He doesn't say a word. And then just realized, it was in Elul. And I asked him, are you in Tani Dibur or something like that? Just said, yes. Just like showed me with his hand. Yeah, he was in Tani Dibur the whole Shabbat. So quite amazing individual. So I think they are very normal people. Obviously, they have good and bad things like all of us. We are complicated people, but in general, they are very special people. And it's very nice working with them and interact with them on a personal level. It's great.
Beautiful. It's great to hear that. In terms of, you've obviously done a lot of public-facing events. Have you ever been with these singers, sort of, whether it's in hospital or any sort of emotional opportunity, where you're able to reach people in a micro level, where the public isn't seeing it? What was that? Who was that with, and what was that like?
So first of all, let's talk about COVID for a second. It's quite interesting because I did a lot. I think, take someone like Shlomi Gertner, our own star here. I see the way that he interacts with people and the way that he's touching people, and he really is a very special individual. So take, for example, we were in COVID, and with all that surahs and everything, I just told Shlomi, you have to stop doing it to me. You are singing in a chuppah, and I'm just sobbing back. I just can't play. And it happens so many times. After 7th of October, so many special moments that you actually get very emotional, because you just know that someone who sings like that is very genuine about what he's singing, and it comes out. And really, sometimes it's really hard for me to play. I'm really sobbing. It's really, really hard, because how those people, you see the small things, how they interact with other people, how do they talk with people, how, for example, Shlomi gives attention to every boy that comes, and It gives him the feeling that he's the most important thing in the world, most important individual. Knowing Shlomi, he actually feels like that.
Yeah.
So interacting with those people, I think just it must be that they're just special people, and it comes across in the music.
That's really special. How do you deal with travel late nights? It's not a normal cycle for the human. Like, what's your process to deal with this on a regular basis? How do you cope with it?
It gets more challenging in time because I have, Baruch Hashem, growing teenagers and everything that I feel they need me there. My wife is, Baruch Hashem, Eshet Chayil, that she really deals with all of it. And obviously it's not just for the microphone, it's really everything is because of her. If not for her, I could not do what I do. My wife always tells me, our job as moms are very, very unrewarding because you work very hard, but you always get a feedback and you see people happy and say, thank you, and you made our simcha. And no one will give you thank you for cooking supper or dealing with homework and everything. They do the hard job, the dirty job, basically. So how am I dealing with it? I'm dealing with it okay. My family, it's hard for them. I'm trying in quieter times. Yes, my wife, I am trying, I'm telling you, to put the family first and to be with my family as much as I can and support and everything. So it's not easy. It's not easy, I must say, but as you said, it comes across. I love it. I just love this type of life. I love it, and I'm enjoying almost every part of it.
It's such an incredible journey. Where's it taken you? Like, where's the peak that it's taken you across your career, 20 plus years? What event have you been at that's just like capped everything that you've ever managed to achieve in the world of music?
It's quite an interesting question because I think it's split. There is no one event that will satisfy all of it because there are different things that I do. For example, I just did a massive event in South Africa. This was crazy event, like loads of musicians, maybe 30, I don't know. Avi Kraus was there, the incredible Avi Kraus, and Ohad Moskovich.
Yes.
So, wow, what a singer. And a lot of others as well. And it was like crazy event with a lot of strings and everything. So yeah, that was for all the work that was put into it. It was quite, I said, wow, oh Hashem, it's amazing. It went really well. But it didn't kind of solve my dreams to just play piano, the music that I like, the jazz and stuff like that. So there is no one job that you said, right, that's it. I just reached it. I just feel that there is so much more to achieve. It's never ending story. There is the world of production, just music production that I started during COVID sometimes, which I love very much. I just don't have enough time to put into it, but I really, really love it. And I'm looking forward to have some times to deal with it as well. Because
what do you mean by production? To include
music production, actually, to produce tracks.
Right.
To write music, to arrange music and to record it. And it's an amazing, incredible process. I would love to get more involved with it. I just don't have all the necessary time. Take someone like Mandy Portnoy.
Yes. I listened to him just now on the motorway most of the time.
Unbelievable.
So creative. I love how he takes old tracks and he just breathes a whole new dimension to them. He's unbelievable.
He's unreal, really unreal. And it's someone that I always think to myself, just life is too short. I would love to know him a little bit better. I just never have the time actually to
make this happen.
Make
this happen. Put the two of you in a room, would come out with something incredible.
One day with such him. But I kind of feel, you know what I mean? He took completely the path of production, of like creating tracks to other people, which is amazing. I don't think he probably doesn't have so much time to perform and to do all this. I find that it's either or. You have to kind of compromise, or very hard to find the balance to do both in a serious way, like Mandy does it. A lot of other kind of people that I know that are doing both, I just kind of feel that the music production that they do is maybe could be in a little bit more creative if they would have more time to put into it.
You must feel very torn between those two angles to your talent, really. You could be on stage doing a wedding, or you could be in a studio with a bunch of creatives, and you've got the ability to do both, and it's kind of, I've got to sacrifice one to enable the other.
And at the moment, it's the events. At the moment, definitely the events take over, which is, again, it's just an amazing thing to play with other people and to write and just to make it. And obviously to see people think about it. My job, I'm coming to an event on a daily basis, Baruch Hashem, and I just like see everybody smiling, see people are vibing, they're dancing. It's an incredible environment to be at. Like, it's very, very special, and I'm very, very, very grateful for it, Baruch Hashem. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing to do.
Wow. I want to talk to you about bass guitar. I know this sounds like a bizarre question, but it's something which
not at all.
People who are not in the music, I used to watch a lot of Haas concerts growing up and these sort of things, and the cameraman would never pan onto the bass. He's like the boring guy in the far corner with his long hair, his tattoos, and he's doing his thing, and nobody really understands. You know, out of 20 violins, if 2 went home, very few people in the crowd would appreciate the difference. But if the bass guitar decides to stop for a half a minute, there's nothing.
Half a second.
Half a second.
Yeah.
Misses a beat, there's nothing. There's echo. Why don't we have enough appreciation of what the bass guitarist brings to the stage?
It's very interesting that you are talking about the bass guitarist. My choice, by the way, on most of the bands that I do, there is no bass guitar.
Because you're doing
doing the bass.
Yeah.
Yes, I do enjoy doing the bass, I must say. But it's not that I think it's better. Obviously, a bass guitar will be a lot better. Bass guitar is basically gives you the bottom end, gives you the groove, the rhythm. It gives you so many things and kind of shapes the body of the band. It's the most important. Yeah, but it's kind of a job. It's a little bit similar to kind of a band. Always the singer will be in the front, and we are kind of, supporting him. He's not going to be good if we are not good, right? Sure. It's very important, but kind of we know that we are there to support him. We are doing the job to support him. In America, they made it kind of like with social media that the bands are getting a very, very important role, and everybody's about the band. Everything is they do a great service for us, but basically it's more about the singers. The bass player is a little bit like that for the band. Right. He's there, and the band will sound not good, but actually because it doesn't do crazy solos. His job is kind of to do the same part, boom, 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 or something like that. It's quite boring.
They can get creative. I've seen bass guitar solos which are just mind-blowing.
Sure, but you won't see in a wedding in the middle of the dancing, you won't see like someone do a bass guitar. But, if he's very good, he will do like some fields in between, like slap bass and stuff like that. But that's the part, and I love it. Yeah. The reason that I don't use them is not because of budget. It's because you need someone who knows the material, really, really well. You can't think about a Flum wedding. You created the set, and then in that moment, I don't know, the Rosh Yeshiva is coming. So tell someone he doesn't know the music inside out and everything, yomim.
Yeah.
Oh, it just can't work.
Everything falls apart.
It falls apart. But this is like, talk about like people like Shlomi Gertner, like Buchi Glick, about Avi Krauss as well. All those people are all about kind of playing the right music in the right time, which is a very important thing, right? So they can't wait until, okay, guys, wait, until the bass player will find His Majesty, the bass player will find what page it is. No, it has to happen now. So I'm just taking over. I'm in control.
You're in the driver's
exactly.
seat,
so even if the saxophone and trumpet, they don't find it, or it will, me as a bass player and a keyboard player, my guitarist and my drummer, we will always be there. It will be, no one will notice that.
Everyone else can catch up later.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it goes. So that's why it's the decision. I think the greatest moment in every event comes like kind of a decision of 1 second. You can't pre-plan. Like this yesterday, for example, we introduced a new medley of Igal Tzalik, Zichrono Livracha.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
And it's the first time that we played it, and we had 5 minutes of sound check. So it was maybe 60% of where we wanted to be. It wasn't perfect, but it was a nice experience. The plan was with the legendary Moshe Davis, who is like unbelievable party planner, to do it straight at the beginning of main course. But it just felt wrong. People, they were just talking, and we had only 8 minutes until the speech. And I just like learned with time. It probably comes with an age. Jesus said, no, just don't do it now. Even if you're not going to do it later, this is the wrong moment to do it.
Meaning
So
it was a feature piece that had
it's a
needed
feature piece.
people's attention to appreciate it.
And also it would be kind of too overpowering just to start a set with it. You have kind of to ease people into it. So it was the right moment. It's the same with dancing. Sometimes, even if you put a gun into my head and said, you play it right now, I just can't do it. It's just the wrong moment. It's just like some things has to happen.
Yeah.
And you can't wait for a bass player to find the
It's
right
funny,
page.
it's funny because once I learned to appreciate what a keyboard player who's playing bass can do, that really is the drawing line between a keyboard player and a professional. Is if he can do bass line throughout a gig,
It's a skill.
It's a whole new level of.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill. It's definitely a skill, and you kind of have to right hand piano or a lead the band, dealing with the people, see if people are happy. So I think. Did we mention the ADHD before?
He's on the way up the stairs. Let's bring it back in again.
I think, honestly, ADHD, which is something that I was never diagnosed by. But to be honest with you, everybody who speaks to me, and I'm sure you can see, okay, the guy has a massive ADHD.
You're very calm. Maybe
it's maybe ADD, the hyperactive part is not there. But definitely all over the place is definitely there every second. And it's the biggest matana, it's the biggest gift that I got from Hashem is this ADHD, because it just allows me to do so many things in the same time and kind of running. And
you're consciously aware of it, though. You're doing 4 things. Like you said, you're responsible for the person complaining, for the Baal Simcha, for the party planner. That everyone's coming to, and you've just got to stay focused. But at the same time, you're multitasking.
Yeah. It's a massive
level,
multitasking, and I just you can't do it without ADHD. I see other people, even from the band, without mentioning names, that are incredible musicians, really, really very good and very focused. And on some of the things that are stuck, they can't do it. And they will be a lot stronger than me on a lot of other issues, other subjects. But in terms of kind of multitasking, they just can't do it because they are just focused on one zone.
And that would limit them on improvising as well then. If you want to just take a lead solo for a guitarist or something, if he's very structured, that ability just to go loose and, at least you know where to land when you're finished with it, but do what you want in the meantime. They would struggle with it if they haven't got that.
Yeah, it's improvisation is a little bit interesting thing because there are layers for it. You, on one hand, you do want to be very focused. Otherwise, your solo sounds like an ADHD one. It has to be with a purpose. It has to tell a story. So you have to be focused on one hand, but creative. Like, don't block your creativity. I always have this kind of thought, maybe I should go to psychologist or something. The psychiatrists talk about like taking something against ADHD, or just like to have properly talk about it and see if what I have it on what level. And then I thought, and then what will happen? I'm really afraid that it will affect what I have. Amazing. On other things, like if you ask my wife, she will be delighted for some things to be solved. Yeah. But it's not an easy thing. But on other levels, I really, really believe that it's an amazing, amazing power it's an amazing advantage.
And you're able to recognize it as this is my skill. It's not a deficiency. It's something which enables me to go beyond.
Sure.
It's really powerful.
Sure.
Asaf, it's been incredible catching up with you. I think we can probably talk another 2 hours on this topic.
Easy.
We're not touched the surface in terms of the instruments and the layers and the arrangements. There's so much to cover. But as we're coming towards the close, you've touched on it already, but I want you to sort of summarize a message to just the business owners or to a young musician who sort of feels like there's got a talent in him that he wants to bring out. Like, what would your message as somebody who's been through this for 20 plus years? You've been there, you've learnt the system, and you've really built such a strong reputation for yourself. What would you say back to a younger person?
Take your time, master your foundations. Take your time. What I'm trying to say, don't jump too quickly to jobs. Just really be good with it. Like, study, not only about music, as I said, any business. Really master the foundations. Like that, make sure that you know all what you need to know in order to be professional. One of the things that I regret the most, I felt that I didn't have much of a choice, but I regret a little bit about COVID times because obviously we had much more time. I'm not going to lie, some Flum events happened. I think everybody knows about it. I can say it because I know that if Boris Johnson is not in jail, I'm also not going to be in jail, right? But for example, the musical world, like the other hat I have, was completely dead for the whole time. So I suddenly had a lot of time. I didn't have to be in the office to write music for other type of acts. And I made a decision to go to the world of production. But because people knew me and they wanted me already to produce music, I felt that I jumped too fast to kind of doing it without knowing enough foundations. And this is something that I said, no, stop, just learn slowly, internalize, get professional, get really, really good with it slowly, step by step, before you are jumping and you try to do something that it's kind of semi-professional.
Meaning doing a half a job is going to just impede your reputation moving forward. Like,
Sure.
There's no rush. Take your time.
Sure.
Master the skill.
Yeah.
So
Whether you're
interesting.
studying now for a business or something like that, you are in university, you study economic, whatever you do, really kind of learn the foundations, and then slowly build kind of the experience with small jobs, start to kind of understand how it works in reality, and then build strong foundations for this before you are moving on.
Beautiful. Asaf, I really can't thank you enough. I know how busy you are, and late nights, I just felt so bad like pulling you out of your schedule, but honestly, it's a tremendous pleasure. And
I really enjoyed
so
it.
happy
Thank
to
you
sit
so
down and
much.
chat with you. Thank you. All the best.
Next time we do it in Hebrew, it will be a lot easier. Would you mind?
I wish. And I've not been in Israel for 8 years. I lived there for 5 years, but I've lost my Hebrew touch. But I need to. It'll be a good opportunity for me to.
Or maybe next time I will do podcasts for you.
For me. Amazing. Really good meeting you, and thank you so much. Really
Thank you.
appreciate
It was
All the
great.
best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ta-da.